Hello, you guys. Welcome back to Let's Vibe Podcast. In today's episode, I am joined by Jason Euler, who is a fellow Arizona friend of mine. Him and I had very similar come-ups in dance music and just finding and navigating our way into making our dreams happen. And so I really wanted to have him on just to talk about how he got to where he is today and to hopefully provide some inspiration for you guys. So without further ado, let's vibe into today's episode. Hello, you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope you guys are doing well. If you are new to this podcast, hi, hello, my name is Aid, official vibe curator and whatnot of this podcast and of music festival tips and self-help and everything like that. And I'm going to keep this intro short and sweet this week. I really wanted to dig into today's episode because it was really awesome getting to connect with Jason and just talk about everything that's been going on in his life. As things are starting to open back up and events are starting to come back, I really wanted to talk to him because his tweets have been super inspiring. His whole journey's been super inspiring. And even I learned more about what he's got going on and also how he got to where he is today. So this is going to be a really good, jam-packed, inspirational episode. I hope you guys also liked last week's episode with Mary Egan. I've just been super inspired by a lot of people and wanted to bring them on, so I really do hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you do, feel free to tag me and share it with a friend at Vibe with Aid, at Let's Vibe Podcast on Instagram, Twitter, wherever you post. Feel free to share this with a friend today. I want to thank you guys so much for all the support. Like I said, I'm going to keep this short and sweet. Normally, I go into a vibe check, but because we have 2 full episodes back to back, you guys can check out last week's episode for a little life update. And also next week's episode is going to be all about Ubby Dubby. So that's going to be jam-packed with a lot of updates. So stay tuned for all of that. I will give you guys my song of the week, which in the interview with Jason, he brought up 2 of the artists that he manages that I have been obsessed with. So I added 2 songs to the playlist, and you can find that playlist in the show notes. So the first song that I have been listening to nonstop is Back to Me. It's on Midas's new album and is featuring one of Jason's artists that he manages, Bella Renee. She is a super amazing vocalist, but also has her own stuff that is like EDM pop, indie pop, all amazing. Honestly, her voice is so killer. She also has a TikTok too if you guys want to go give her a follow, but I put her on the playlist and her song that she has. She's featured with Midas. It's a really good song. Honestly, Midas's album is incredible. If you guys have not checked it out, if you are into like future bass, that kind of feel from start to finish, that album is really incredible. So I just wanted to put that song in because Jason brings it up and I was like, oh, let's put it in the playlist. So that is in the playlist for you guys to check out, as well as another artist that he manages. This was one of his first artists that he ever managed. His name's Ekinova. I have absolutely loved Ekinova and watching him and his whole journey transform, and we talk about it in the interview. So I added a song that he also has with Bella Renee, and it is Nostalgic. And so that is a really good little housey tune for you guys to check out this week. And yeah, you can follow that playlist. It's on Spotify and it's linked in the show notes for you guys. But without further ado, let's get into today's guest. Like I said, I've been super inspired by Jason's journey and just everything that he's done, getting into the dance music industry and everything like that. Him and I had very similar, I would like to say, just like passion for dance music and just wanting to make it happen. He talks about his story, about how he started some of his businesses that integrated him into the dance music scene, and we'll dive into a little bit of that. But I felt like him and I both just had a passion to figure it out somehow, and my path was going more of a content creating, influencing route, and his was just trying to find different problems and trying to provide different solutions for those problems. And now he works at Relentless Beats as a festival experience curator, basically. So he handles like the experience part, bringing art installations, bringing different things to the festivals to really add to it. And so I grew up going to Relentless Beats events, and I absolutely love going to those festivals out in Arizona. So he basically gets to help create the whole environment and vibe of them. So I would love to go back out to Arizona to check out what's changed, because I've been going since 2015. And then I moved to Austin in 2017. So I've been back for decadence every now and then, but I would love to go back to check it out and see everything that he's done to grow those festivals. He also has a couple of side businesses and whatnot. So I think just if you are interested in getting into dance music somehow, or you are wanting to start something in general, we just dive into a lot of those things about how you can get started. And so hopefully this will be a nice, good little motivation for you to get kick-started on whatever you're working towards and whatnot. So without further ado, let's welcome Jason Euler to the podcast. All right, you guys, I am so excited for today's guest and excited to share him with you. Today we have Jason Euler, who has a bunch of different titles. Honestly, I'll let him do his introduction, but him and I connected through the Arizona EDM and rave scene and everything like that. So without further ado, let's welcome Jason Euler to today's podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I know last week was kind of hectic. I was on the road to Los Angeles with one of my artists shooting some music videos and life, but good things in life because music's coming back slowly but surely. As I know we were talking a little bit before this. But yeah, like you said, I wear a number of hats. Currently working full-time with Relentless Beats. My title there is an experience creator. So my job is to do everything that's not the music, essentially. So site lighting, art installations, performers walking around, putting together silent discos, lounges, there's anything one can come up with. So I work with a lot of cool artists and creatives through that world. We've had some really cool art pieces come through our festivals, which has been really neat. Beyond that, I manage 5 artists day to day, and then I have our media company Moon Landing, who I run with my best friend and business partner Nick Lamoureux over there. And then middle of COVID, I got bored and launched a business middle of quarantine. Once events went away, I'm like, okay, well, what project can I give myself next? And my mentor and I actually launched an online mentorship platform called Kinekt. And so that's been a really fun project for myself the last year.
Yeah, that's so awesome. I can't wait to dig into all of this. With our guests, we do a vibe check. So what we'll do is I'll just ask you how things have been going, and then we'll get into some gratitude and what you've been working towards. So how have things been going for you? I know you mentioned you went to LA. What's been going on in your day-to-day lately?
Yeah, day-to-day's great. Like we kind of just hit this light at the end of the tunnel in Arizona for COVID and music, and it's just crazy. I feel like I'm getting hit with like a tidal wave of good things right now, just because like every day I'm getting a new confirmation email that we just booked so-and-so to come play Sunbar or Shady Park, and like getting to see my coworkers just happy and getting to do what they love again is just it's incredible. So it was weird being in LA last week because they're still really strict on pretty heavy lockdown there. And I'm coming out of Arizona where just the weekend before we're wide open. I'm going to Sunbar and there's house music and people are dancing and not social distancing, which was just like, it took me a second to kind of like, I'm like, this does not feel right. Like
totally.
It was weird. But yeah, we had our first live show last week with Autograph. We did a reduced capacity show at Sunbar, and honestly, it was kind of nice because there's a lot of room to dance, but like still had the feel of the crowd and live music again. And Autograph played one more time, and I about cried in the club. But it was just good, and I mean, and God, just looking around and seeing people just smiling and having fun and getting back something that you can tell is just so important to people's like lives. Obviously how much it's affected our lives and what we do, which you're a super fan over here that's really taken it and run with it, and you've created so many outlets for yourself, which has been really cool to see since we met.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and I can relate to the same here in Austin. It's been about, things have been open here, so we've gotten shows here and there, but we haven't had like full capacity just yet. Things are kind of like at tables. I don't think I've been to Sunbar yet, so that's definitely on my list to check out.
It was newer right before COVID. Yeah, we got to do a few shows there. And it's it's the same group that owns Shady Park, and obviously you've been to Shady and the vibe that place is. So Sunbars is really cool. It has its own uniqueness to it as well.
Where's that one located at?
It's right down the street on Mill Avenue.
Okay.
Yeah, so right down the street from Shady Park. Bigger room, max capacity is like I think 700, 750. Shady's around like 500.
I'm going back to Arizona, I think, for Father's Day weekend. So we'll see what happens if I can pop my way in there because I miss everything.
We'll get you out to a show. Absolutely. I'll get you set up at Sunbar. You let me know.
Yeah, totally. So what are 3 things you're currently grateful for right now?
I love that you do this. Like I was telling you before, I have a sign in my room over that says gratitude. And I think if the one thing I learned from COVID the last year is if you're not grateful for what you have, one, you'll never have enough of it, and
Yep.
you'll never be satisfied when you lose a lot of things. So I love that. Biggest one that for me is health. Obviously, as like coming off a year like last year, just my family's health. I really took it upon myself to get my health back in check last year. I had so much downtime. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, you could probably go lose a few pounds, guy, and get off the couch and go run. So health is the biggest one. Right now, the other thing is just, again, watching my friends coming back to doing what they love. Like my artists are getting like booking offers coming through.
Yes.
Ekinova is about to announce a show in about an hour here, actually.
Ooh.
He's playing direct support for Abstract at Sunbar. So, Tidy's getting offers down in Australia. So I'm just, my coworkers are lunch. So I'm happy getting to watch the people I care about get to do what they love again. And then last but not least is just, I'm just grateful for the ability to wake up every day right now and work towards something I genuinely love. I worked a long time in corporate America before I got to break into dance music. And, I'm very grateful just waking up because it was a long road to get to the point where I got to wake up every day doing it. And you saw me during my early days there.
Yeah, definitely. I've had those same moments of like, because I left corporate America earlier this year. And so I'm having those moments too of just like looking back of like, wow, like it did take a lot of work to get here. And it just feels, it feels good when you can step back and be like, yeah, I did that, and like give yourself that credit. So I love that. And then last thing is affirmation, goal, or motto that you're working towards right now.
2021 motto. I got it right here on the planner. It says the line "Maktub," which is from my favorite book, The Alchemist, which means it is written. I had a really tough year last year, losing a lot of stuff, shows, like job opportunities, and just anything you can name. And I kind of put my head down and really just said I'm going to work and be ready for when it comes. And this is the year, like good things are coming, so it is written.
Yes.
And that's kind of my motto. That's my motto for the year. I do a different motto every single year on my planner.
Oh, awesome. Do you get your planner custom made?
Yeah, I get a custom cover every year. I have a very specific planner I use that I've been loyal to for about 4 years straight. And it is literally like my life guide. I make everyone I work with, I tell them like, you need to get this planner.
Yeah.
Plannerpads.com for anyone out there wondering. It'll save you an hour a day.
Wow. I'll look into that. Are you a Virgo?
I am Sagittarius.
Oh, a Sagittarius.
Double Sagittarius.
I was curious. I was like, only a Virgo would be talking about a planner like that. So that's why I had to ask.
No, that's fair. No, I'm all the fire. So
all the fire. Fiery. Makes sense. Makes total sense. So you did talk a little bit about, your journey getting here. So I do want to talk about where everything started for you when it comes to EDM, rave scene, and everything like that. Because I feel like our paths were pretty similar in like, we just wanted to find a way somehow, and we made a way to, whatever it took to get there. So let's take it back. When was it that you first got involved in EDM or the rave scene and everything like that?
Yeah, I always love telling this story because it was just such a wild ride. But I went to Mad Decent Block Party in 2016. I was 23 at the time. I didn't want to go. My friends were like, you need to come check this thing out. It's awesome. And I'm like, I don't know if that stuff's for me, man. Like, I didn't really listen to EDM at that point. Of course, they drag me. I go. I have the time of my life. I have so much fun that I actually lose all my friends because I started walking around and talking to strangers and making new friends. My phone dies, and my friends thought I had left. They're like, oh, Jason had an awful time and didn't had left, which was quite the contrary. I'm having so much fun. Phone dies, and then I woke up the next day and I had a $150 Uber charge on my phone because my ride had left, and I was like fresh out of college and playing professional baseball, so I was broke as a joke at the time, and that was like just not chill. A couple months go by, and Global 2016 is coming up. And I'm like, I buy my ticket last minute, and I'm like, oh crap, what about the ride situation? I don't want to wind up in an Uber. So I had an old party bus Kinekt from college, and I called him. I'm like, hey, how much to get a party bus? And I got a 60 passenger bus, and I thought I'd get like 30 friends to come along. We ended up having 75 people on the bus. The pregame was at my house. My buddies, who's a DJ'd the pregame in the backyard, and we had the time of our life. And I ended up making like $3,000 in like a week.
Oh my gosh.
I wasn't trying to make money off my friends. I was just trying to cover the cost of the bus. And avoid the Uber. I didn't want to Venmo everyone back, so I donated it to Phoenix Children's Hospital. I said, here's the charity lady's contact, here's the receipt, you know, if you have an issue, let me know. Everyone was super cool with it, of course. But Global is actually what did it. I went to Global 2016 and I walked out of the gates that night, which was a Relentless Beats event. And I'm like, I'm going to work in the music industry. Like I just knew it. That's what I wanted to do. And it was actually the last passenger who came off the party bus that night that goes, what about Decadence? And then the light bulb went off and I'm like, oh, so then 2 party buses to Decadence. We donated a portion of the proceeds to charity to kind of keep that spirit from the first one. And then every single, you know, party buses led to filling up tables at clubs where my buddies would get to open. That led to club takeovers, which led to shows. And then March 2018, I did a 4,000 person block party on Mill Avenue. And then we went on to do like 60 events in 2018 after that. And then the company whose festival I went to, which was Relentless Beats, came and acquired me in end of 2018 going into 2019. And I've been at the team with Relentless for 2 years now.
Wow, that's so crazy. My first event
all from an Uber charge.
All from an Uber charge. Mine was Mad Decent 2015. Okay. And I went to Global, same thing as you. That's like I feel like Mad Decent's like the entry event for like any Arizona raver. Like once you start going to that event, then like you get hooked. I didn't realize like that whole story because I knew about all the parties and the party buses and everything that you guys were throwing, but I didn't know it started from an Uber charge. So that's like so
I
crazy.
Was just
awesome.
Just solving a problem, and I kind of started a business on accident. You know, but like that night I got off the bus and the person's like, well, what about the next one? I had no money. Like I hadn't thought it's free to make an email. So I made a company email at like 3:30 in the morning just so I could like start. Cause I just was like pretty gung ho on the idea and riding the high from the festival that night. And then just one thing led to the next.
Yeah. And you're right. You were solving a problem. Getting out to Rawhide can be so like annoying. It's a journey to get there, especially if you're coming from Tempe and the Uber charges. That's what, like, I've always been like the type to either have a ride like situated or something situated.
And like Decadence is cold too. Like, that's the thing. You get out of there and you can go sit on a warm party bus with some nice music, you know, like instead of just sitting there in the cold waiting for like, you know, so the party buses filled the need, and then we made them really fun, you know, like we had pre-games on Mill Avenue. We partnered with a couple of the bars and clubs down there. We'd have DJs play the pre-games, drink specials, and then you know, the people would just go nuts on the buses. Yeah, it was a wild ride.
Yeah, totally. For Relentless Beats, were you hired in the same position you are now?
So I came on originally to sell corporate sponsorship was the goal. And what I was doing was I'd get like, you know, I'd line up the liquor deals with like Tito's or the car sponsorship with like Carvana or whatever. And I take the sponsorship money and then I create an experience with their money to put them into the festival. So like Carvana sponsored a silent disco at Gold Rush in 2019. Gotcha. Select had like a lounge and we had masseuses in there and like a photo booth for people to hang out in. So just lots of different cool stuff. So it just kind of started there. And then I started to just, you know, one thing came after then, like, okay, now I'm in charge of site lighting. I'm in charge of the art installations. Okay, now we're bringing in these performers and characters. So it's just really evolved. And then my next role stepping up here is I'm going to be building out the artist management division of the company. So I'll be wearing kind of 2 hats again there. But it makes sense because I already manage artists on the side. So now just kind of bringing that into Relentless Beats and building another extension of the brand there.
Yeah. Are you going to bring really cool. Are you going to bring your artists under Relentless Beats then kind of in a way?
Mm-hmm. So right now there's another day-to-day in the office who works with Blossom and Bijou. And then obviously Relentless has put Bijou on and really helped grow that project. And Ben just works crazy tireless hours. Like he's a grinder. And then, my 5 acts will come on and, you know, the goal is to, you know, foster young up and coming artists and really see who else we can grow and introduce to the rest of the world. You know, we have the resources to do it. So, and artist management at the core of what I do is like my true passion. Like I love getting to watch my friends chase their dreams.
Yeah.
And to play a role in it is awesome.
Yeah. I think that's an awesome avenue for Arizona, especially Arizona. I've always said is like on the come up. It's very underrated compared to like the stuff in
Yes,
California,
it's a little
the stuff in
behind.
Texas. It's a little behind,
Yeah,
but it makes me happy to like see, especially Bijou, like get the growth that he's had. Like
yeah.
I've seen him like 5,000 times, I feel like, but
Oh,
like,
he's been on a heater lately too. Lots of bookings, and then
yeah.
Saturday he crushed his set on Saturday here.
Oh, that's awesome to
And
hear. I love
the
hearing
hometown came
that.
out.
Yeah, I love hearing
Yeah.
that, especially being from Arizona. Were you born and raised in Arizona?
Yeah, I grew up in Flagstaff, actually 2 hours
Okay.
north, and then 18 to 23, I lived in 7 different cities across the country playing baseball.
Wow.
So baseball was always the dream, and then I moved back to Arizona. Had about 2 months where I was just working a corporate job, didn't know what I really wanted in life, and I stumbled to Mad Decent, and the rest was history.
Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. I grew up
Yeah.
in Phoenix, born and raised. And so
Okay.
it's always been crazy, like hearing kind of like my hometown with like the music scene and everything growing. And whenever
Yeah.
people are going, I'm like, you have to go to here, you have to go to there. And
You
so
need to check this out.
yeah, it makes
Yeah,
me
you still
proud
very much have
to.
some roots here.
Oh yeah, totally. And I miss it. I haven't been back since like February. So February of last year. So I
Oh,
need to,
geez, yeah.
yeah, it's been a while.
Well,
But my
June we'll get you
parents,
out. We'll have you at a show, no problem.
yeah, my parents both are getting their vaccination, so I'm excited to
Very
come back
nice.
and
Good.
visit and everything like that. With the artist management, how did you fall into that? Who was the first artist that you started to manage that brought you into that?
Oh yeah, definitely. So, well, what happened was we had those pre-games for the party buses, and we were doing all these bars. And I'm like, well, I need someone to play music. So I kid you not, like the first party bus pre-game, we literally put a fold-out table and like a little mixer, and like that was the pre-game at this
Yeah.
like barbecue joint on Mill, like very small beginnings. And I started to meet people through that, and I worked with my buddy Mitch, who runs a project called Hardwood at that time.
Okay.
And that was like the first artist I really started working behind, and he was releasing music, and we got him booked for like Underworld with Hades back in the day.
Yeah.
And he's been real steady, always releasing just really, really solid records, and just a good guy. The first real artist I took that really ran with though was Ekinova, and I actually discovered him as a duo. And
I
we
didn't know
met just through
that.
social. Yeah, he was in a duo called Suspect Zero when I first met him. He was
Oh,
19 and he wasn't even old enough to play at some of the venues. So the partner in his duo was older, and he was going to play his music that he was creating at these other venues. But I heard, I just connected with him on social media. He's like, hey, if you ever need someone to DJ the pregame for the party buses. And he sent me a SoundCloud, and it was progressive in like big room, and like
yeah.
that was like big earlier in like early 2012 2015.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, it was a little older, and I'm like, but the production was just incredible. And I found out he'd been playing piano since he was like 2. Eventually him and the duo ended up splitting, and he came to me with this idea for Ekinova.
Gotcha.
And that was May of 2018. He came with that idea, and by May of 2019 he was playing EDC. So we had just a wild ride that year.
Yeah.
I'll never forget, it was one of my favorite stories. It was October that year, 2018, and I just wake up one morning, and I just, like, the second I looked at my phone, like the second his name pops up and goes, oh my God, Porter just played my remix of Language at Freaky Deaky in front of 40,000 people.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And there's a video, and he just sent me the video, and you just hear it go off, and the crowd goes like, and I just had goosebumps. And that happened. And then, God, we went on to sign record deals with Insomniac, Dim Mak, Chami's label Confession.
Yeah.
And then that went all the way to EDC, and he ended up playing Bonnaroo in June of 2019 as well, too.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought I remember that. That's so awesome.
Yeah.
How does that feel to you to like be a part of that?
It's fun, like my job is to really take off as much off his plate, so he just focuses on what he does, which is making music.
Yeah.
And that at the core with Steven is he's always just been so great about it. No one puts more time into studio than him, like nobody.
Yeah.
And it's really a testament to how he's developed his own sound. But God, yeah, getting like, there's just certain moments, like I'll never forget, like he played the sunrise, he played a sunrise set at EDC, and like watching the sunrise come up, all our friends from Arizona were there, like my best friends were there, and I'm just sitting up like watching it all, having a drink, and those are the moments why you put in all the like just ridiculous hours, whether it was me driving him to Salt Lake for a show 15 hours away, or like, just we put in our work, and those are the moments that, you do like 90% of like just crap for that 10% of just, oh my God, is this real life?
Yeah, that's so awesome. For those that don't know Ekinova, how would you describe his music?
Yeah, it started off as a bass house, like tech house hybrid, and Ekinova actually stands for new sound. That's the
Okay.
root of the name there. And he really did figure out his own kind of identifiable sound early on. And then quarantine hit, and one day he sends me a track. He goes, "I think I wrote the best thing I've ever written." And he always had a tough time working with vocalists. Like it's hard. There's so much back and forth.
Yeah.
And this is like 2 years into me managing him, and he sends me this, and I start to hear it sing, and it's his voice on the track, and I'm like, "You can sing?" I'm like, this whole time, like, "You can sing?" And he's like, "I don't know. I just thought I'd try it." He's like, "I recorded it on my iPhone," and so like he worked the vocal a bit, but we've
Yeah.
since gotten him a really good mic. He's actually got a feature coming up with some pretty big artists on some
Oh,
labels as a
nice.
singer.
Yeah.
But he started singing over a ton of his tracks. We just released The Beginning in February with Insomniacs in rotation. And
Yeah.
that was like the first one of him singing on it. And just we have like 10 more with it. So it's kind of a whole new direction. But we call the music echo tech to really describe the genre.
I
We
love
didn't know where to
that.
like fit it, so we decided we'll create our own.
Yeah, might as well. You got G House that Bijou created.
Yep.
Relentless Beats and Arizona artists are just going to be creating all these subgenres for
Yep.
us.
We're gonna more subgenres for dance music. That's what we
Yeah,
love.
exactly. So who are some of the other artists that you manage to?
Yeah, definitely. So the second project I ever took on was the Rel project, which is Jersey Club, which niche genre, but like Terrell is really a pioneer. He came from New Jersey. Jersey Club's like kind of a hybrid, like of house trappy, very
Okay.
upbeat. It's actually the only genre like between 130 BPMs and 140 BPMs.
Oh, wow.
So like Skrillex actually plays a lot of Jersey Club musics in his like
Yeah.
sets, for example, because he has to bridge the gap to get from the house BPM to like the trap or dubstep BPMs. And
Oh.
Jersey Club's a great way to do that. But Terrell's actually created some trap tracks as well, and he's worked with some EDM artists. But even prior to me managing him, he played EDC, Coachella, and Tomorrowland. He just released a big 5-track EP with Dim Mak on Steve Aoki's label in February. So that's the second project I took on. The third was Bella Renee. I met her right before COVID hit, and I'm like, I'd never worked with a vocalist. I
Yeah.
completely foreign to that world. And she sent me some demos, and she sang for me in person the first time I met her at this coffee shop. I kind of put her on the spot. I'm like, "Sing for me." She's like, "Right now." I'm like, "Right now." And she just belted it. And I'm like, "Okay, when do we start?" And so her first track with Tidy was a feature, and she did about 160,000 streams on that.
Wow.
And then she's actually got a feature with Midas on his album coming out on Ophelia Records, which is Seven Lions label, in 2 days.
Oh my
Um,
gosh, that's so exciting.
yeah, so she's had some really big features. We got some tracks in the works with some really, really solid names, and I'm just really excited to watch her grow. And then we've been releasing a lot of her original music this year, also. So it's been
We're good.
it's been a big learning process taking on a vocal. And then last year, my biggest artist came through, which was Tidy. He had the #1 Billboard dance track in 2016. He's played every continent except Antarctica. So he already had like a full career before I took the project on. So we're really ramping him up for the second half of his career. And he's done some just incredible things in music. A couple of songs with like 9 million streams, like just
That's
really incredible
awesome.
stuff. And then most recently I took on Ryan Shepard, who did a track with Loud Luxury called Fill Me In, did about 37 million streams, and went worldwide, just massive platinum track. And then he's from Canada, just like Loud Luxury as well. And then we just released a track with Armada in November that just hit 1 million streams last month called Hello Sunday. And it's a beautiful, beautiful record that a lot of my artists wrote some great records during quarantine and the downtime. Like, I think you can relate. That's gonna be something we're really excited about, is all the music we're gonna get to hear coming. And that rounds it out, which is Ryan. And that's been a fun project to work on. And I'm really excited for some of the stuff he has coming up. We got another one coming out with Armada here in about the next month or two.
Gotcha. Wow. Stacked is all I really have to say, is just stacked.
My schedule is that's why I have the planner.
Yeah, to keep it all together. Bella is someone that has been really exciting to me, and I want to call her out because I follow her on TikTok. I saw you promote her on Twitter, and her vocal range is insane. And the
Yeah.
fact that she's going to be on an Ophelia track with Midas, I'm like stoked about that. So I'm going to be like bumping that because I love any track on Ophelia and like that whole
Yeah,
stuff.
and her voice, like she's versatile and she's saying on house tracks, she can do anything. But I really see the lane with her, at least, because I'm using all my dance music world. Hey, who can I line her up with? I think that future bass vibe with her vocals it's going to be just a no doubter with her. So I'll send you the unreleased before it goes out. But this Midas track is really solid. It's something special.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna add it. So I do have a Let's Vibe podcast song of the week that I normally do. I'll add that track in there. And if you have any other ones you want to send my way, I'll add them in there because for those that listen, you guys can check it out and check out the playlist and everything. That way you can hear what we're talking about. But that's so awesome. And I wanted to ask, you have the planner, but how else do you manage everything? Like what's your secret to managing all of all these things you got going on?
The phrase I came up with when I built my first business, Octave, which was my first promotional company, and I had about a team of 12 on that. And I just said at every meeting, I'm like, systems are dope. Systems are dope. Like, let's create a system. So, organization and systems, and not just like systems using technology. I use any technology advantage, whether it's a planner, things like that, but like systems of people. I am so blessed to have just incredible people around me. Like even just off the top of my head, like Bree, Mike, Tanner, they help me out with all the artist projects. Bree's been working with me for about almost a year now, and she's just been a rock star on the back end. And it's cool to be mentoring some of these younger, individuals that have the aspirations to work in music and getting to teach them the things I'm learning while giving them real life experience on some of the projects. So they're seeing it firsthand. And like, just watching Brie, especially as a woman, come in and just like kind of build some toughness and just really put her foot down in the industry, which is just like, she's just a badass. So it's really exciting about that. And then my team at Relentless is just all time. They're just great people. They love dance music, and they're just so good operationally at what they do. So I have a lot of resources. And then, Nick Lamoureux, who built Octave, is now my partner on Moon Landing. And he's just done an incredible job building that. That project started as a meme Twitter page that we converted into a media company. And he's done awesome with that. And then my mentor, Brandon Owen, and I launched Kinekt, and getting to work on a project with someone who mentored me that is helping mentor others. That project's really exciting because it's helping so many young producers right now. You can go on there and book a one-on-one lesson with like Arius or Cap Slap or Tidy and get like a direct Ableton lesson over Zoom with someone who's touring and who's done what these aspiring artists want to do. So that's been a project that's just been really close to my heart because I really think it has the power to impact a lot of people.
Yeah, I love that. That's super awesome. I thought I saw a little bit of that, so I was really curious. I'm glad you brought it up because I just remember that was another thing on your plate.
Yep. And we're actually launching the new site for that, which is really exciting too.
Okay.
And we're kind of opening it more to the public. You're actually going to be able to go on and get shout outs from the artists. So like if you want to go get a shout out from the artist to take a video and wish your best friend a happy birthday, you'll now be able to connect with more artists. And we're going to be adding about 100 new artists to the platform in the next 2 months.
Yeah, that's like Cameo, but for EDM.
Yes, pretty much, because there weren't really any DJs on Cameo. The main focus is still the mentorship for people who want to work in the music industry, because it's not just artists. Like we have managers on there, I have agents on there. There's just decades and decades of music industry experience that if you want to go learn, you can get an hour of their time directly and learn from an expert.
Yeah. How would you say that you've gone about being able to create all these connections throughout the music industry and everything like that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that at the end of the day is my core strength, and it always has been. I can't produce music. I barely learned how to graphic design or like do these little things last year. Like I know how to make a basic website. I'm not really skilled at anything, but my skill set's always been with people. And my job is to take other people and empower them and help them do what they're good at. And I've always just focused on giving my value into helping someone else do what they're good at and giving them energy if they need a resource. Like artist management, I don't know how to do half the things to push the artist, but I know the person who does, and I can make sure I line them up. And then it's just about making people work together. I've always had this thing where from sports or whatever it might be, where I can bring a group of people together and say, here's our common goal, here's the vision, here's how we're going to work together and get there. And that has just helped me expand my Rolodex to getting so many contacts and just building lots of relationships.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, like, through artist management, then Moon Landing and then Kinekt, like last year I met more people in the music industry during COVID than I ever have.
Yeah.
And it's exciting now because I have these relationships and connections now that, I can help other people and continue to help them grow. So
yeah, that's awesome. Would you say you're more big picture oriented or detail oriented, or like a little bit of both?
I always like to say long vision and short steps.
Okay.
I think the problem is people go look at like, oh, I have to climb to the top of the mountain. I look at it like I got to walk 10 feet down the path first, and then another 10 feet. So I have the big goal in mind of what I'm ultimately working toward and what I want to do. But my main focus and the thing that has changed my life is just waking up every single day and going, how can I move the needle, even if it's just a little bit today? And even on the days I don't want to work, I still force myself, okay, well, you need to do one thing that makes it move just a little bit, even if it's just something as simple as like a post here. So, I just always try to think, how can I move a little closer today? And eventually all those days add up. And that's really been the secret for everything, is just kind of that relentless, I'm going to move it just a little more today.
Yeah, I think that's so awesome. Where do you turn to kind of like work on a mindset like that, on developing a mindset like that?
Yeah.
Any resources, books?
Absolutely. And my education really started when I got out of college. Once I really dove in and started reading, but I just focus on the 3 pillars of my life, which are mind, body, and soul. I think if you can become a master, you may not even ever master those, but if you can constantly just try to improve those 3 things, it's going to leak into every other aspect of your life. With my mind, I try to read a lot of books. Like the big book that changed my life was The Alchemist. Very popular, beautiful book. I read it like once a year. Networking, how to win friends and influence people. Music industry journey, Sing to Me by L.A. Reid. So I have all these different books that have helped shape me for different aspects of what I do. But it just became really what I consume for my mind. Who am I following on social media? Like, what am I consuming? Like, I follow a lot of entrepreneurial accounts and things where I'm going to get good, because that's a diet for my mind. Soul, I got into meditating some years back, and it's still something I struggle with because I'm very go.
Same.
But it's a constant process of learning and just learning how to be present and being mindful. And then body, like at the end of the day, I got to make this thing work long term. So, just getting in check with my health and taking care of myself there. And I think if you focus on those 3 things, everything else is going to be better because of that.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think I had a old YouTube video where I talked about that in terms of specifically more like weight loss and body and everything, more on that. Like, a lot of people think that you have to just focus on the body, but when you're doing like a whole transformation like that, you got to focus on the mind and the soul too, or else like one of them is going to be, it's all connected. One of them is going to be imbalanced. So I love the way that you view that, because it's so true. Like, day in and day out, what are you doing to feed your mind? What are you doing to make sure your body's good? And what are you doing to feed your soul? So I love the way that you have that laid out. And I definitely think a lot of people can resonate with that. And it almost simplifies it of like, okay, I need to just do something for each of those areas and make sure I'm balanced each day.
And again, it could just be a little thing each day, like if you don't feel like going to the gym, like go for a walk outside, like it doesn't always, like the thing is, we always think we have to do this big thing, and when in reality, success or growth, it just comes from a composite of our little actions every day. Again, like long vision, hey, I want to be more sound, mind, body, and soul, but my short steps are going for a walk today, getting to the gym, taking 3 minutes, 5 minutes to meditate, journaling today, whatever it might be, reading 10 pages. So it's just taking those little steps every day.
Yeah. And in the same aspect for both of us, we had this goal of getting into the music industry somehow, or inserting ourselves into the conversation. And then we both figured out and it seems so intimidating to a lot of people, but we just figured out, okay, what could we do to take those little baby steps? And so
and you start like your self-example, like you started problem solving. Okay, I want to get to this level. Okay, well, here's the problem. Like, instead of thinking like, oh, that's hard or difficult, you started thinking how, not what, it's how. And it's been cool to follow your journey to that, because like I've watched you find that how behind every step of the way, you know, even from when you were just writing all the way to like, look at you now, you know, so it's cool to watch that growth and transformation in someone else too.
Yeah, thank you. And that's why I feel like our stories relate so similarly, because we are doing what we love now. And we didn't know what that path looked like at the end, but, no, and it was ups and downs for sure. Like we make it seem like
and it's still gonna be, and it's still gonna be. Yep.
And it's gonna
that part never stops.
Everything like that. Yeah, totally. Yeah. So for someone that's listening that might want to get into the music industry, or maybe they have something else that they're wanting to tackle, what would you say is like your biggest piece of advice to be able to take those first couple of steps?
I actually just tweeted this today, and I saw it, but a doubt will kill a dream before fear ever will. You know, before fear of failing ever will. You know, failing doesn't kill your dream. Quitting kills your dream. Doubting before you even start kills your dream. So, you know, the biggest thing I was telling people is start. And if you're afraid to start, it's one, because you're afraid of failure, or two, you're afraid of what other people think. And if you can get past the ability of like, hey, like maybe I do fail, but at least I tried. And you know what? I don't care what other people think, because I'm doing this for me and my soul and what I need to set out on. So, you know, overcome those two things. And those are like personal toward anything. And it's hard because humans were naturally insecure, and like we all have our battles and stuff. But if you can just overcome those two things and start with whatever your idea is, like, you know, like if you want to start a podcast, like go just talk to someone else who's done it, ask questions, you know, like YouTube, like we're in this age where the playing field's level, and you have all these resources to learn, educate yourself, and you can connect with darn near anyone now. You know, so I think there's just an immense amount of opportunity out there for those who wish to seek it.
Yeah, I agree 100%. That's a lot of the stuff I'm facing right now with clients that I have in my coaching business. A lot of them are like, oh, what will people think? Or like, I'm afraid of failing. And I'm like, well, you might as well try or not at all, you know, or else you're going to be in the same position.
I read a book called The 4-Hour Workweek that said, before you go to attempt anything, you have to think, what's the worst that's going to happen if you absolutely just bomb it and fail? That block party I threw, I took out all my savings, every penny in my bank account. I took out my savings. I took a pink slip from a loan shark on my car, and I took $10,000 line. I took a $10,000 line of credit. So I went all in on this show, and I called my mom, because like I went all in because I'm 25, and I go, what's the worst that's going to happen if I fail? I move home with my mom. She has running water and electricity. I'm still living better than like 70% of the world. So if you have that perspective of that's my worst failure, then like it's kind of a slap in the face to people who don't have that type of opportunity to just go for it, you know? So it really is that perspective, I think.
I think also the worst case scenario sometimes is just staying where you exactly are, which you already know what that looks dangerous.
Like, you know, that comfort zone's dangerous. Yeah,
it is dangerous, but it also is comforting in a way of like, oh, I just go back to what I was doing before, you know. But in the situation you just said, you put everything on the line, so like even that worst situation wasn't that bad.
I'm like, I can always go back to corporate America and sales and do that. But at least, you know, now when I'm 50, I'm not sitting there like, dang, what would have happened if I had thrown that block party? And like, you know, that block party ended up being a huge turning point for my company, and just like the credibility it gave the brand and what I was able to create after that. You know, I owed a lot to that experience. And, you know, sometimes you got to push all your chips in the middle of the table and just see what happens. But I was ready to move home with my mom. I was like, I called her. I'm like, hey, if this show flops, like, I hope my room's ready. I'll be back.
Yeah. Now looking back, it's a great story and that turning point. You never know when those moments happen of like, oh, this is that turning point until you go through it.
Well, and the thing is about humans is like, we're so much more creative when our back's up against the wall. Like humans, when they hit that point, like, okay, I need to survive and I need to figure, it's like, it's not that I just wanted the block party to win. I put myself in a position where like, okay, failure is really not much of an option here, or it's gonna be really rough. And, you know, I had tons of things go wrong. It almost didn't even happen. Long story there. I'll save that for another podcast episode. But you know, it worked out and we pulled it off. And I don't think if I didn't have that like motivation behind me of like that fire I put on myself, you know, maybe I don't pull it off.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened when I left my full-time job. I was working
Yeah.
on the coaching business behind the scenes, and my full-time job was a sinking ship. It turned out in like 2 weeks this happened. Like I started working with a business coach. My full-time job became a sinking ship. My last day was February 5th. And then my business coach was like, all right, we got to launch it. We got to get you clients. So like, let's do this.
Yeah.
And I
Let's
was like, I
go.
had no choice but to like
Time to swim.
just figure it out,
Yeah.
So I
But at the
totally
end of the day, I
resonate with that.
swear, I think it's the best way to learn, when you just get plunged
Yeah.
into something like, when I went to go sell corporate sponsorship at Relentless Beats, like I've been in sales. I'd never sold sponsorship a day in my life. And, 6 months later, we had the biggest sponsored event with Gold Rush, and we worked with more partners than Relentless Beats had ever done. And,
Wow.
it was hard, but just you put your hours in.
Yeah. So that brings me to with festival season 2021 coming up. What do you have
Yes.
planned? What are you looking forward to?
So obviously anything we're throwing here at Relentless, we do have some pretty big announcements coming in about the next 2 to 4 weeks here. We're working on a few more bookings, but I think Q3, Q4 is going to be an exciting time for festival season in Arizona. I'm praying we make Talking Stick happen this summer. We're working on some things there, but those are always just such a fun time. But personally, I'm not sure. I'm on for EDC Portugal currently. So we'll see if they allow travel though and all that.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's really going to depend probably where a lot of my artists get booked. If I'm going to be doing a festival, like I told myself I wouldn't go back to EDC this year unless I got one of my artists on it. So I'm hopefully finalizing that promise to myself. But always, again, gives me a little more motivation to make it happen.
Yeah, that's totally cool. I'm interested
what about
to
you?
see.
Do you have anything planned?
So I'm going to Abu Dhabi. I'm going to be a part of that guinea pig group to see how that all plays out.
Let us know how it goes.
Yeah, that's honestly why I'm going, is just to report back, because I don't want to rely on other people's info. And I'm just I want to see. I want to see how this all goes down and report back on it. We have VIP tickets, so that at least makes me feel a little bit comfortable, because I feel like I'm going to be in shock.
You have the space if you need it.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like I'm going to be in shock.
It's weird being back in crowds. Like I was in a crowd of only 500 people last week, and it was like, okay.
Yeah, like I feel like it's just going to be a weird experience, like at first, and then I'll get back into it as if it's like an old habit, So we have that. And then tomorrow, obviously there's a big announcement about EDC, whether that's happening in May or October. Yep. We're on standby for that.
What do you think? Where are you at? What do you think is going to happen?
Since this is going to come out after, I think it's going to be in October. Just from what I've been hearing from people that have the passport, they said that they're not getting charged until August for their tickets. And just some other things I've been hearing makes me think it's October. I'm hoping for October, because I'm not ready for EDC to happen in May, like mentally, physically, anything.
No, I just picture Steve Carell, that emoji of him coming out like, oh my God, it's happening.
Yeah, literally. So EDC potentially, if EDC doesn't happen in May, we'll be at Seismic Dance Event, which is a local Austin house techno festival here. And then after that, kind of up in the air until Electric
Gold Rush and Decadence, of course, right?
Yeah, potentially. Who knows? Maybe I'll make it back. I stepped out of going to Decadence for 2019. I went to Lights All Night and I regretted it. Like something a part of me just like was missing.
This should be the biggest Gold Rush to date. We're expanding in a lot of areas. I can't talk too much on it, but we are expanding in a ton of areas for Gold Rush this year. And I think that festival in the coming years is going to be a staple of not just Arizona, but like the western half of the United States.
Yeah. So is that one still in September?
TBD right now. We're waiting to see where EDC falls, obviously.
I got it.
Because that's going to factor in with our crowd here in Arizona too. But Gold Rush is going to be big this year. We got some really cool names for it.
Maybe I'll make it back out there. I always consider Decadence Arizona my home festival, I feel like, because I went to Mad Decent. I went to Mad Decent, and that was my first event technically, but it was a shit show. And then I went to Decadence Arizona 2015, and I was like, okay, I actually like these events. I want to keep going. So I always consider Decadence my home one. So I'd love to go back to that one. And then I got signed on for Imagine as an influencer. So I'll be going to that one, which will be cool. And then potentially Elements, which is happening Labor Day weekend. So we're booked. I'm like going to something every weekend, but I can't complain. Like you said,
better than last year. Yeah.
Yeah. It feels good to just be like filming festival content again, doing YouTube content about festivals.
That's
like
awesome.
I don't have to like stir my brain for random content to do, you know?
Right.
So I'm happy and excited about it all, but, wrapping it up here, I want to thank you for joining us today. I didn't tell you about this, but we're doing rapid fire really quick, just because
okay, let's go.
I didn't want you to be prepared and I want to see what comes up for you. So kicking off, your favorite festival you've ever been to.
Oh God. Paradiso 2019 or Paradiso 2019 or EDC 2019.
Ooh, okay. Were you on Holy Ship?
I was on Holy Ship. Gosh, okay. I take the Friendship last year was really good too. Friendship was like my last one before COVID. So
I was like, come on, the cruise ship.
Yeah, Holy Ship's up there. The ship ones are great.
Yeah, I definitely want to go to Friendship. And then
Friendship's
top,
awesome.
I'll give you top 5 favorite artists right now.
Favorite artist right now, Blue Claire. He's an up and coming house producer. He's really making some good stuff. He did a collab with Martin Garrix's side project, and he's just really innovating some new sounds. Clank, another up and coming bass house artist, really making some waves. I think Side Piece. They crushed it. I'm just excited to continue to watch that project. And then my old roommate and very good friend manages John Summit, and just to watch what happened with John last year. And I got to listen to Deep End like a couple months before it came out, which was like
nice.
My buddy showed to me. He goes, "This one's going to be a hit." So watching what John's done has just been incredible, and they're on quite the ride. And I'm just happy to watch my friends win. So
yeah, awesome. And then I think that was 4. If you have one more, you can go for it.
Ekinova is going to just crush it this year. Yeah. He's due for a really big year. We're sitting on like 30 unreleased tracks right now. It's actually, I'm not kidding. It's absurd how much music he's sitting on. And we have him signed basically through the rest of 2021. And we're already like plotting labels for 2022. Nice.
Is any of it going to be an album?
We're still a little ways off from that. We're taking the project really slow. We got a big EP coming out with a label we're really excited about in May. And then I think we're probably still a year or 2 away from the album, but some of these tracks we're sitting on now are for sure going to be plugged in there. So very excited for what's to come for him. Yeah. Nice.
And then we'll do top 3 favorite subgenres of dance music.
Tech house, techno, and house. I'm a house techno head, which is funny because bass music's what got me into the scene. But the longer I'm in it, I just feel like there's this like transition period. You know, I watch these kids headbang at these festivals. I'm like, oh, it looks really exhausting and like tiring. Like I don't think I can do that. You know, like it's a, you know, I always make the joke. I'm like, bass music's a young kid's sport.
Yep. You know, how we've grown up.
I've really kind of drifted. I'm like, just drop me off with the weirdos at stage 3 and I'll be over there.
House music. I always get the comment, house music is for the adults, you know?
Yeah, it really is. So,
that's so funny. And then the last thing I'll ask, since you represent Arizona and the Relentless Beats fam, what's your favorite Arizona event here or in Arizona?
Phoenix Lights, honestly, it's not the biggest of our 3 major festivals, but like it's the one where I feel like it has the most roots to Phoenix. It's like the Arizona community, like even the ravers that were like raving in Arizona 10 years ago, like seem to come out for it. Yeah. And it just like the AZ rave fam really comes out for that one. And so it's always just such a good vibe, really good energy. The weather's always usually pretty solid. So I've just had some incredible memories at Phoenix Lights.
Yeah, I would have to agree. That one's like one of my favorites too. I definitely can't wait for that one to come back, hopefully next year, and get to go to that one. Yeah.
And low key, as I hate to say this, but Wet Electric, I always have such a fun time at.
I actually never went to Wet Electric.
It's a rough one.
For those that don't know, Wet Electric's the one that it's at a
it's inside a water park.
Yeah, water park. I was gonna say swim park for some reason. But thank you so much for joining us today, Jason. Go ahead and plug where everyone can find you. Plug all your things that you got going on.
No, I appreciate you so much for having me, and again, being flexible to reschedule. But
Yeah, of course.
you can just find everything at www.jasoneuler.ventures. All my social media is there, my artists are there, and every project I work on. So stop by the site. And again, thank you so much for having me and giving me the opportunity to share my story. And again, I love the gratitude plug.
Yay.
You kill it with the vibe. So just keep pushing forward the energy you always do.
Oh, thank you so much. So we will be right back. Vibe Tribe, sit tight, Jason, and we will jump right back into today's episode. Thanks for joining. So that is it for today's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed getting to know Jason more, as well as learning more about his story. I really, really loved this episode and just had so many helpful tips for a lot of you guys. So I really hope you guys found it beneficial and you guys can come back to this podcast episode when you need some motivation or just need some help with figuring out what are those next steps and what you need to do. So I wish Jason all of the best, and I can't wait to come visit Arizona and check out some of the stuff that's going on with the scene down there. It's been absolutely amazing watching that scene grow from what it was in 2015 to what it is now, and I can't wait to come back and visit. I will link everything that Jason mentioned on where you can find him in the show notes, so feel free to go check that out so you guys can give him a follow, show him support, and tell him that Aid sent you and Let's Vibe Podcast sent you. But I hope you guys did enjoy today's episode. Don't forget to rate, review, subscribe, all that jazz. Tag me on Instagram or on Twitter if you checked out today's episode and where you're listening from. Thank you so much for the support and vibing with me today, and I will see you guys in the next one for the Ubby Dubby recap, so stay tuned for that. Stay vibey, Vibe Tribe. Bye!